Pittsburgh Steelers general manager Omar Khan is not keeping any secrets when it comes to evaluating talent at the NFL Combine, because he just exposed which are the top priorities for his team at each position, and which position groups he's going to keep his eye on the most. But first, before I get more into what he said, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, with the Pittsburgh Steelers general manager Omar Khan or even head coach Mike Tomlin, when they speak about this team in the pre-draft process, you have to listen, because more likely than not, they aren't hiding anything when it comes to evaluating talent. In years prior, you know exactly which position they're targeting in round 1 and early and often in the first few rounds of the NFL draft. And once again this year, Omar Khan, he talked at the NFL Combine, and he basically exposed which position groups are his top priority when it comes to evaluating the talent, and which position groups he's going to be keeping his eye on the most, and probably which position groups are going to be taken either round 1 or round 2, or early in this year's draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, let's look at what he had to say about it. Here's his quotes. "It's early, but I'll say it's a good draft. There's a lot of talented players here and guys that can help us. The defensive line group and the DB group. There's some good players at those groups. Also, the running back group and the edge guys along with the offensive line." End quote. So, when you look at the first position group that he named a defensive line. And if you're looking at his interview that he did even before the draft, you look at what he mentioned, and he mentioned this defensive line on how the Pittsburgh Steelers need to upgrade it. So it looks like the defense line is going to be a major kind of priority for the Pittsburgh Steelers and a voice of concern in trying to get it better and trying to get this group stronger. Because obviously you look at how the Pittsburgh Steelers season ended, and they weren't able to stop anyone on the ground in the run game for like the final 5 weeks of the season. So it looks like that group's going to be a big position group of need for the Steelers. And when you look at just all the other positions for this NFL draft, every draft class has a slightly different flavor, with kind of a varied levels of top-end talent and depth, and different focus on which position groups offer the most potential. So the 2024 draft featured several first-round quarterbacks, and while the 2025 QB group is nowhere near as strong, it makes up for in talent elsewhere. And some of that talent is along the defensive line, the running back group, like Omar Khan mentioned, and some other position groups as well. So, Omar Khan, he basically never hides who he's evaluating in the draft along with the Steelers team. And if you look at the Senior Bowl that the Pittsburgh Steelers coaches and evaluators went to, I already made a video on this, but the people they were keeping a close eye on was the defense line. That was the group. That was the group the Pittsburgh Steelers were mainly focused on at the Senior Bowl. And obviously that means that they're looking at offense line too, because the defense line was facing offense line in most of the matchups, obviously, other than in individual drills. So the defense line was the people the Steelers were keeping a close eye on. And that's a first position group that Omar Khan lists off when he names the top-end talent for this year's draft. And it's not even top-end talent. It goes down the line. Even though there are top guys, even the 4th, 5th best defense line, it looks to be really good. So when you look at this and this NFL draft, let me just go through what the Pittsburgh Steelers may be thinking. Because defense line and running back groups are easily the 2 best in this draft class. And when you look at the Steelers team, Larry Ogunjobi is likely to be like a cap casualty. Cameron Heyward will be turning 36 years old in May. And depending on how the Steelers approach the position in free agency, it might make sense to double dip on defensive line in the draft to kind of capitalize on the talents of this group. That's how talented they are and how much depth they have in this year's NFL draft. But also, when you look at running back, it is an interesting one because Omar Khan lists off running back as a top group. And he's right. Running back is an interesting one to watch as well. More mock drafts have the Pittsburgh Steelers grabbing a back in the first round. But are they really going to take a running back in the first round after what happened with Najee Harris and him not working out? I personally don't think they will, but obviously we'll get more into that as the draft gets closer. But Ashton Genty and Marion Hampton, they've already met with those guys at the combine, so looks like they are looking at the top running backs. So that was some confirmed interviews. I'll get more into the interviews as well here in a couple days when the combine actually finishes on who the Pittsburgh Steelers exactly met with. But when you go down the path for another first round running back again, I don't think they will, but who knows? They may be looking for running back if Najee Harris leaves, and they are a run first team, so let's see how that goes. So when you look at the defensive backs group, it has plenty of talent as well, and that's one of the groups that Omar Khan lists off. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have a really big need for a corner as well. They have Joey Porter Jr., and then they have Corey Trice Jr. as well, who isn't really a backup or really just hasn't been playing. He's been inactive a lot. He's been injured a lot. And they have Dante Jackson, who's also a pending free agent as well. So they have a lot of openings at defensive back that they have to fill. So they have to look at that position in this year's draft. So safety remains an under the radar need as well, with DeMonte KZ being a pending free agent, and they have basically zero depth behind Minkah Fitzpatrick and Deshaun Elliott. So just defensive back in general, you can see why Omar Khan lists off that group, and it looks like that's someone the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have to keep an eye on in a position group there. So basically every position group that Omar Khan has listed off has the best talent in the draft, but also a position group that Pittsburgh Steelers actually need. And that's the biggest thing. Usually, sometimes when you need a position group, it may not be the strongest. For example, when the Steelers needed a quarterback and they ended up drafting Kenny Pickett, that draft class with the quarterback wasn't strong at all, but they end up picking one anyway, never end up working out. But this year, they need defensive line, they need defensive back, they need maybe a running back, and those groups are the strongest. So the Steelers, at least the position groups that they need, those are the strongest in this year's draft class. It's also somewhat notable that Omar Khan didn't list off as wide receiver as one of the top position groups, or at least a need for the Steelers, because they definitely have a need there. So maybe it looks like the free agent market, or maybe outside trade possibilities, and maybe how he fills out wide receiver, because him not listing off wide receiver in this draft, you could say maybe they aren't paying attention to that group a lot. But who knows? The Steelers have been linked to a lot of receivers outside in the trade market, like Cooper Kupp and some others. So let's see what ends up happening there. But maybe they won't go round one wide receiver. But me, personally, if I had to take a guess off of everything Omar Khan is saying, they're going to double dip on defensive line early in this year's draft. And they may also pick up running back very early as well. So Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, they don't usually hide what they want to do in the draft class. They didn't hide it the last few years. You knew they're picking Najee Harris. You knew they're picking Broderick Jones. You knew they're picking another offensive line this past season. You knew they're picking a quarterback when they selected Kenny Pickett. We didn't know if it was Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, but we knew the draft picks of the first round picks for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the last few years now. So they really don't hide anything. And once again, Omar Khan, he's basically exposing the secret of, hey, this is who we're focused on. These are the top priorities. This is the best people in this draft class. I'm not hiding it. We're going to go out. We're going to get our guy. We're going to get our position group. And there's nothing you guys can do to stop us. So I don't care if it gets leaked. I don't care if I leak it. I don't care if I don't keep, or I keep a secret, or I don't keep a secret. We're going to get who we want when we want it. So that's what Omar Khan's mentality is on the situation. That's what's been Mike Tomlin's mentality on this draft process as well throughout the years. And now we're going to have to see exactly who the Pittsburgh Steelers pick here shortly. So just like I said, in a few days, a whole list of players are going to be coming out on who they actually interviewed with, and we'll get more of an understanding of which players are the top guys at those positions, because obviously they list off all those positions, but which of those guys are they actually interviewing? So I'll tell you shortly in a different video, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on Omar Khan not keeping any secrets about this draft process once again, and how do you feel with those top position groups that he listed off? Is there a certain one that you want in each round? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Me personally, I really want a defensive back early in this year's draft class. I've been wanting defensive back. I thought they should have went Christian Gonzalez back when they picked Broderick Jones, but it is what it is. And also, if you want to put a mock draft in the comments below as well, I'll look through it and I'll comment down below on your comments. So, with that being said, that's the end of this video. Make sure you also subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis, reports, everything surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers throughout this draft process. I'm covering it. Free agency, I'm going to cover it. Everything. So this is the best spot for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, rumors, everything like that. And until the next video, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.